This is a story that happened a couple of years ago when I was 19 years old. I had a friend named Matt who was celebrating his birthday at a nightclub downtown. It was pretty exciting as he was turning 19 himself, which was the legal drinking age from where I resided. I remember wisely taking an Uber as opposed to driving down there myself, just in case I wanted to get hammered. Turning legal age where I was from always gave a reason to go over the top with the drinking, so taking an Uber was completely justifiable. When I eventually got inside the club, I could recall dancing with multiple females while hammering down countless drinks. Again, it was my friend Matt's birthday, so we usually hosted these extravagant events by getting a booth along with bottle service.
Hey, dude, you having a good time? Yes, sir. I bet you're checking out that blonde at the bar, huh? Come on, man, why don't you mind your own beeswax, birthday boy? You like 'em thick, don't you? Oh, you know what else is thick? What? My vomit.
I remember not feeling as intoxicated after puking in the bathroom stall, but that didn't stop me from throwing in the towel and calling it a night. I can recall heading out of the club and calling an Uber, as I knew my chances of picking up a female was slim to none, considering I had regurgitated ramen breath. I ultimately purchased an Uber pool, which was when multiple riders heading in the same direction as you could also share a ride. I particularly didn't like sharing rides with strangers, but seeing as how cheap the Uber pool was in comparison to the regular Uber, I thought I'd give it a try. I wasn't exactly the wealthiest guy at the time, just an average college student who was broke and lived off eating noodle packs to help make ends meet. About 10 minutes later, my Uber finally arrived curbside near the club. As I approached the Uber, I nonchalantly hopped in the back of the vehicle, as I could see the front passenger seat being occupied by another male. I remember seeing the male passed out drunk, as I assumed he had consumed a large amount of alcohol, considering we were in the club district of the city. As the Uber driver begins to drive towards our destinations, I kindly introduce myself by saying,
Hey there. Long night, ain't it? Yep, I'm kinda used to it. What's wrong with him? He's just drunk as a skunk, just like the majority of you kids I pick up. Yeah, well, you only live once, you know.
The driver acknowledges my statement by nodding his head as he proceeds to carry on with the ride ahead. I remember briefly being in and out of consciousness, as I knew the ride was going to approximately take a little longer than usual due to the ride being an Uber pool. I kindly request the Uber driver to play some music in his car by saying, "Excuse me, sir, do you have an aux cord I can use to play my music?"
I thought you said you only live once, no?
Yeah.
Well, enjoy your life while you're still here, kid.
I confusingly respond with, "What do you mean?"
Don't you just enjoy looking at nature?
I then looked outside and realized that he was taking us through a secluded rural area where it was nothing but crop fields and land. That's when my sobering reality set in, as I realized he had completely driven off route from the requested destination. Sir, where are we going?"
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Why did you get inside my car?
Because you're my Uber driver?
And why did you assume that I'm your Uber driver?
Because you picked me up? That's when I checked the Uber app and noticed something so disturbing that still raises the hairs on the back of my neck just thinking about it. The profile picture of the driver was the same man passed out on the passenger seat. As I casually glanced at the passenger, I could see a trickle of blood dripping down from his mouth. That's when the driver looked at me through the rearview mirror and said,
"I'm not an Uber driver, kid."
"Then who the hell are you?"
"You're gonna wish you never lived from the torture I'm gonna put you through."
That's when I opened the door and immediately jumped out onto the side of the dirt road as the man abruptly stopped the vehicle. I knew I had fractured my rib cage, but through sheer adrenaline, I had picked myself up and ran deep into the middle of a nearby cornfield. I remember running for about 5 minutes or so, until I was a good couple yards away from the vehicle. That's when I heard the man yelling from afar, saying,
"Come back, kid. I'm not gonna hurt you. He was just a joke."
I remained silent and crouched down the entire time as I dialed 911 on my cell phone. I remember whispering my location to the operator while simultaneously using the Google Map feature. What was 15 minutes felt like 15 hours, as I saw several police units show up at the disclosed location. I ultimately ended up filing a police report and getting dropped off at my house from one of the officers. As far as the so-called Uber driver, he was unfortunately not found, as the vehicle was located near a forest preserve about a mile away from where the cornfield was. The man in the passenger seat was in fact the real Uber driver, who was unfortunately pronounced dead at the scene. I still don't know what the man planned to do with me that night. All I can speculate is that the man was severely ill in the head and needs to get some sort of professional help. I now don't drink, nor do I take any form of public transportation when I go out, as the fear of encountering that man still triggers me to this day.